So I covered the story of a guy named Desmond Merrow who was just absolutely brutalized by police, just completely attacked. You know, they tackled him and they choked him while he was on the ground, handcuffed, no danger whatsoever to the police officers. And you know, I kind of prefaced that segment talking about how conservatives often claim that police brutality is just sort of this kind of thing that doesn't exist. It's a myth. It doesn't happen, etc., etc. Now, here's the thing. Okay, now before I get into these two clips, because this is crazy, so I had seen this first one, but by the time I was going to do this segment, I saw another one in which virtually the same thing happened. And so, you know, what I wanted to say is that if these things weren't recorded, which a vast majority of times they're not recorded just due to the nature of being able to remember to have your phone out when something like this is happening, or even the odds, because you don't know what's going to happen when police arrest you or something's going, some kind of altercation with the police. And so the odds of having your phone out or some kind of recorder out are vastly low, and that's the truth about it. And so had these not been recorded, we wouldn't even be talking about these. So I want you to sit there and think for a second, how many of these cases do we not know about that happen on a daily basis that we simply don't know about? I mean, how many of them happen because they just weren't recorded? If it weren't for cameras being so readily available on phones, we wouldn't know about jack shit. You know, even Nas back on Illmatic, you know, he says, I think it was on Halftime, you know, he says, what the hell with the cop who shot Garcia? Like, that's like the thing that's been happening. That was 1993. So this shit's been happening for days, right? And so basically what I want to look at here is this first clip. This is basically going to be a person who's handcuffed, right? He's handcuffed on the ground. He's handcuffed on the ground. But the cop comes in and kicks him in the fucking face. Check this out. This happened in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh, this is fucking unacceptable. Again, like I said in the last time that I covered the Desmond Merrow incident, how could you possibly see that and say, no, our police training is fine, the climate with police, the system we have is perfectly fine? Because the truth is, it's not. We need to improve the training immediately because this is unacceptable. This should not be happening. This should not be happening in the United States. Now, here's something crazy. So like I said, when I saw this and I got to making this segment, on the day I was looking at it, there was a second one that happened. This time in Florida. Look at this. This is fucking disgusting.
Oh! You ain't have to do all that, buddy. You tripping.
Oh man, this is fucking disgusting. Did you see that? That was so disgusting. And again, there's no rationale, there's no sympathizing, there's no rationalization possible, because when the man is literally handcuffed, he is then deemed defenseless. He can't defend himself. He's handcuffed. He is severed. And not only that, but there's no form of resistance whatsoever put up by this person at all whatsoever. But still, the cops run. It's not even just like standing there and kicking. You guys know the concept of momentum, right? When you're running and then you do something, it's going to be stronger because there's more momentum going your way. So if you run at someone and push them, it's going to be a lot more force than if you're standing right in front of them and push them. And so this piece of shit runs towards him and then kicks him in the fucking face. Again, if these, you know, that was also recorded just by your average daily person. They just probably pulled out their phone, just started recording. Had that not been recorded, we wouldn't know of this happening. We wouldn't know of this happening. Unless, you know, there are the very rare, odd cases where they'll sometimes come out with the footage. But this time, you know, it most likely wasn't going to happen. And so, it's really important that these things get recorded. And when people claim that this type of stuff doesn't happen, I mean, it's just not true. And, you know, if I keep covering these stories, it's going to be a lot. I'm going to try my best because it seems like they're constantly happening. But as it keeps coming to my face, I'm going to keep reporting these. We need comprehensive retraining of police, and we need a total kind of repackaging. And we need to let go of these people who are doing that shit. I don't know what kind of training would make a police officer gain momentum by running and then kicking someone in the head and then basically like fucking him up in other ways by putting your hand on his face and stuff like that. Like, these police officers look like thugs. Did you see the action done by that police officer who ran up after he was handcuffed and then kicked him in the face and then started to continue doing other forms of attacks? They look like literal thugs. There's no excuse for this whatsoever, and there needs to be something done. That police officer who did that should be fired and never rehired as a police officer ever again, and should face mass penalties on top of that as well. But, you know, from the past, we know that type of shit doesn't happen.